Welcome back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Belfield, talking to some of the country's biggest stars and some of my favourite people. And two of them are here today. Joe and Kate, how are you?
Oh, we're very good.
We're good, yes.
It's so nice to see you both again. And I just saw Club Tropicana a few months ago, and it's here in Nottingham this week and continues to tour. I mean, it is one of the most extraordinary bits of theatre I think I've ever seen.
I think the word extraordinary says it all, really. It is extraordinary.
It is. Do you know what? It is one of the most, I don't know about you, but we've had so much fun doing it. It does what it says on the tin. It doesn't pretend to be anything that it's not. And
it doesn't take itself too seriously.
No, and we just have such a good time.
We do have a good
time. And the music's great. I'm genuinely having I'm going to be sad when it's done. We've only got 4 weeks left.
We were talking before about people who were in Les Mis, wonderful productions like that. We were saying, at the end of it, they must feel so miserable, though.
Well, I always say about Les Mis, at the end of the show, the entire cast are dead and they're the lucky ones. I mean, it's one of those where you go, my God, imagine being in it. What a thrill. But at the same time, you've got to die 8 times a week. Exactly. This is the opposite. It's just uplifting camp-hole nonsense where you just get to be joyous. And separately, in two very different ways, you both win the show. That's the thing about my review. This show isn't an award-winning show, but your performances within it is, and it's beautiful. Let's start with you. I mean, your voice. We last spoke in this dressing room for Joseph, and you always knock it out the park. And they're so bright to cast you because you deliver and you turn up 8 times a week and give it, and that's so important.
I mean, but that shouldn't be a surprise. I mean, it does become a bit of a surprise in this industry. It's our jobs at the end of the day, and like anybody, you have to go to work.
But your voice is very robust.
But for me, what's been lovely is it's kind of a little sidestep from singing, just for a little bit, in the sense of that I've never done comedy before, and when they offered us that was the turning point where I was like, I really want to test to see if I can actually do this. And it's been great to work alongside Kate.
Well, I thought, Joe McElderry, a great singer, but can he do comedy? And his comedy timing is great. So I was very happy. I am very happy.
And you really get to steal this show with the big laughs because your heart is enormous and your character's even bigger, and then you get to stick your stuff in for absolutely no reason whatsoever and just kill the audience.
Well, I suddenly started doing impressions because she has to make the place look busy, so she has to be other people. So Consuela the cleaner, this is the plot I'm telling you now in case you don't know it, has to become busy around the hotel. So I become Shelley Bassey, or I become Cilla Black, or Jim Bowen, or anybody else in it?
Dolly Parton.
Dolly Parton, yeah.
Margaret Thatcher.
All 80s impressions, yeah.
Oh, and Adam Ant. You do Adam Ant. Toya Wilcox,
yeah. But, it's just, it's an excuse to just do some impressions, really. But all in the guise of this mad Spanish cleaner. So it is a bit odd.
How hard is it being that pathologically cheerful for 2.5 hours, 8 times a week? Because it's a tough gig of smiling and being happy and completely over the top.
We are a happy company.
We are a really happy company. I was just talking about this to someone earlier today, where I was saying, and you'll know this because it's your 40 and you've been doing it for years, but when you do a show, sometimes you can not autopilot's not the right word that I'm trying to use, but what I mean is you go in and it kind of just goes like clockwork all the time. With comedy, it's the first time I've experienced where no show is the same. Like, you get laughs in different places. The cue lines are different because of the laughter. So it's one of those shows, certainly for me and you, because we're delivering the comedy. You can't just sit back and go, oh, they're a nice audience tonight. You're literally listening constantly for like when to pull off the laughter, when to cut them off, when to take it to the next joke.
And sometimes they join in the singing, and sometimes they heckle you if they're a bit particularly mad audience, don't they? So you have to know how to deal with that without breaking the fourth wall. Of course, the fourth wall has been broken by his character because he's already spoken to them as holiday makers, whereas I'm not supposed to break that fourth wall. But I mean, we all have tumbleweed moments occasionally, don't we?
And that's the thing, it's a double-edged sword in the sense of that gets you through the show because the audiences are so wild and wonderful, but at the same time you're listening all the time, so it's one of those shows that keeps you on your toes. Like, it's really, the pace of it is so fast.
The musicians are fantastic. We've got a great band, live band on stage, and the dancers, the ensemble are just amazing, aren't they?
I saw it a Saturday night in Sheffield, which is your own fault for going there on a Saturday night.
Yeah,
and there were some hecklers, and they did give you a hard time. And I guess you've got to be present. You can't just phone it in, because you've got to react. You're playing the part of a guy who is meant to be in the room, and therefore, if they say something, you've got to react.
And we planned for that in rehearsals. We knew that the director and the writer said, listen, you know, with some of the writing in this script, we're almost allowing them to shout out, and we're making it like a pantomime.
I remember
almost.
You said one night, if
you wanted to be in the show, you should have gone to rehearsals. Because he said, basically, the director said, there are all going to be moments, especially on a Friday and Saturday night, when they've had far too much to drink, and you're going to have to shut them down to get on the next bit of the scene. So we just make it part of the show, you know. And the great thing about the show is, because it's just a fun night out to celebrate 80s music, we can go with those moments. And I think for me and you, certainly, we're used to being ourselves on stage in terms of outside of musical theatre. So for us to kind of break out for a second, it's quite easy, and that doesn't faze me at all. If something goes wrong in the show, I almost kind of...
Well, the other night...
Yes! You know, it's like when the fire alarm goes off at school, you know, it's like something...
The other night I forgot a word after saying it 130 times. I think it was the 130th time.
Could this be the medication? What is it?
I don't know, and I just suddenly went... I couldn't remember the word Pretatus bravus, and I went, I can't remember this. And then the audience just laughed, and we all just laughed, and we carried on. Oh, well, there we are.
Isn't it depressing, though? You can be rehearsal for 8 weeks, and you get more laughs getting it wrong than you do getting it right.
That's true. It's so true. And you know what else? And I find this in my shows. The song, when I'm planning my own concerts, the songs that I think are going to be the award-winning stand ovation songs are never the ones that get the biggest reaction. So now whenever I do a rehearsal, if I think it's terrible in the rehearsal, I think this is going to be brilliant. And if I think it's great, I'm like, this is going to be terrible.
Yeah. Well,
it seems to work.
How did the geniuses sit in a room and think of a musical called Club Tropicana without including the song Club Tropicana within it?
They didn't know it was not going to be allowed, is the truth. Yeah. They were only told after the whole concept that they weren't allowed to use it.
But I think this is brilliant. This just sums up the show. Balls to Brexit was the headline of my review. If you want to get away from the nonsense and the Trump... I just switched on the radio and switched it straight off. I'm sick of hearing about the news and politics and Brexit and Europe and da-da-da-da. Come here, and you've got to leave your brain at the door and just have fun. And it is so uplifting to feel that joy of people who just don't care.
But you know what? I think theatre and performances and everything has so many different avenues. And for me personally, I love, you know, your award-winning Les Mis, you know, Miss Saigon, those like thought-provoking shows where you have to sit and watch intricately what's going on and really follow the storyline and the plot. But then I do it as a job. So for me, this show is like, if I was an audience member, this would be my perfect show, because you can just sit, you can have a few drinks, you get entertained, you don't have to think too much.
We have people who've been back 15 times.
Right.
I mean, people just get addicted to it. And it's just a good laugh, it's a good sing-song, and it's very colourful, and we have the best choreographer in the world, Nick Winston, who choreographed it all and directed it with Sam Holmes. And it's just it's a joy.
And I say, if there's not a flying witch or a giraffe, I'm not coming anyway. You know, life's too short to be depressed in a theatre.
We could get Consuela to fly and sing Defying Gravity, couldn't we?
I'd pay to see that. What's your life like now? I'll ask you first, Kate, because, I mean, here you are as relevant today as you were 20, 30 years ago, back on Goggly Box, which we love, and you're killing it on that programme because, of course, the authenticity is what's going to make you work or not work. If you start faking it, we're going to smell a rat. I mean, this is a great time for you.
Yes, and with Gogglebox, it's the most lovely way to spend my Sundays is with my daughter watching television. What a nice job that is, you know. It's lovely, and we have such a laugh on it. And yeah, I mean, I do love reality programs like that. I'm a Love Island watcher, and I love doing my little bits of daft telly. But doing live theatre is totally different, and I've made such good friends with all this lot. They're all my kids' age, you know. I'm the old one, but it's great.
I mean, and when we look back at your career, there's no one you haven't worked with. I mean, and from music to comedy to theatre to acting, you've done it all. What an amazing career in life it's been, and you're still at it. Oh, sorry, love. I didn't read I missed a paragraph off Wikipedia.
I worked with James Franco in Flyboys. Yeah, before he was absolutely massive. You didn't know that, did you?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I played a madam in a brothel. Yeah. And I spoke French. There you go.
She's bragging again. I've worked with Sue Pollard in Panto. I don't know what she's going... And again, I mean, we look at your rise to fame, and you've never stopped working since. And I do think it's your ethic. So many people just phone it in these days and sort of do it, don't do it. You always give 100% and give more than that.
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, there's no like amazing secret about it. I just genuinely enjoy what I do, and I think if you enjoy that and it doesn't feel like work, yes, you get a little bit tired, and you know, you have your days where you're like, oh God, I could just sleep for 24 hours. But I genuinely enjoy what I do. So for me, to be on the road and tour and go out and sell out audiences, and it genuinely is what I wanted to do when I was a kid. So I just have a good time, and if you get to work with it, we're so lucky on this show. You know, I've worked with lots of amazing casts, but there's something about, and it sounds very cliche to say, you know,
family, isn't it? It's like a big family.
It is. There's been absolutely no fallouts. Touch wood, we've still got fallouts left. But it's just, there's just such a wonderful vibe, and I think it's something to do with the show. I think it filters backstage because
yes, it does.
Because the storyline is just a constant party. Yes. It kind of filters into the dressing rooms and out into the, you know, when we're out on nights out and stuff.
Hard to be in a bad mood when you get that kind of reception, isn't it, on stage, and that party atmosphere is always there.
And if there was any angst between anybody, I think we'd sit on stage and the whole thing would fall apart, because it's just a feel-good show that you can't really fake it, can you?
Yeah, no, you can't. No.
And then, of course, we've got the music within this. It's an 80s musical, and everybody knows it. And I mean, it's the 40-something women kind of show, really, isn't it? And again, they'll say anything and do anything. At the end, we get this mega mix of just a party. Yeah. It's not that dissimilar to sort of the Joseph mega mix. We just don't get you in a loincloth.
Thank God for that. I did that for 2 years.
You in your underpants.
Yeah, you do get us in your speedos. So when they said they were doing the mega mix, I did think perfect, because I knew the kind of audience that were going to come and see this would live for a nice sing along at the end.
Most musicals have a mega mix?
Well, not really. No. Joseph does. Some of them do like a little kind of
Rock of Ages. What's that?
Rock of Ages do a little. Well, they do Don't Stop Believing at the end. Yeah. But we kind of cover all of the main songs in the show, which is great, and you get to do your Jane Fonda moment, don't you? No, Olivia Newton-John.
Yeah, that great trio, Olivia Newton-John.
And I think the only reason you get away with your part is because under that cleaner's costume is, well, a very sexy actress, and we're all falling in love with you. I mean, I don't want to sound creepy at this point, Joe, but you do know that, don't you? A certain man of a certain age is finding you delicious.
Certainly not dressed up as Consuelo. I mean, honestly, when I turn up for the first day, you know, in any theatre, and I do just look like the person, you know, cleaning the rooms, people just ignore me.
I remember rehearsals, you were like, the costume, they look terrible.
I was going, I can't wear these.
I said, that's the idea. I was like, when you open the door, but the great, if nobody's seen, I'm talking to you because obviously you've seen the show, but every time she opens the door in a new costume, the reaction is just... Yeah. Great. Like I almost get excited like every night, like because I'm queuing the line for it. I'm queuing the line for it to come out, and I'm just thinking, just wait a second until that door behind us flies open and she's stood in it. Another outrageous
pink
costume.
Sequins,
Congratulations on this. I mean, as I say, this is not Brecht or Harold Pinter. It's not trying to be. It is the best fun you're going to have in a theatre this year. It's so ridiculously silly and brilliant. Congratulations to both of you. Both big stars. Joe and Kate, thanks for your time.
Pleasure.